Crystal of Wisdom presents Knowing How to Be Happy.
In a time long past, in a small village nestled between rolling green hills and a dense forest, lived a young man named Cassius. He was known throughout the village for his quick smile and boundless enthusiasm. However, Cassius was also known for something else, his unwavering belief that happiness was something that one simply waited for, like a fruit ripening on a tree. From an early age, Cassius was taught by his father, a wise but stern man named Philo, that true happiness came from virtue and diligence. Philo often said, "Cassius, remember this, there are many recipes for being happy. Some people wait for fortune to take over, others are smarter. They daringly make their way forward and act, relying on their own strength. For on the wings of valor sometimes manages to catch up with happiness and suck up to him. But, rightly reasoned, there is no better path to happiness than the path of virtue and diligence. For there is no greater happiness than prudence, nor worse misfortune than unwiseness." Cassius listened, but like many young men, he believed that happiness would simply come to him if he waited long enough. He watched as his friends and neighbors worked hard, toiling in the fields, crafting beautiful works of art, and learning new skills. Cassius, however, spent his days dreaming under the great oak tree at the edge of the village, convinced that fortune would soon smile upon him. One warm spring morning, as Cassius lay under the tree, he heard the soft sound of a flute playing. He followed the music to a clearing where a traveling minstrel sat on a rock, his eyes closed, lost in the melody. Cassius watched, captivated by the minstrel's skill. When the minstrel finished, Cassius approached him. "Your music is beautiful," he said. "How did you learn to play so well?" The minstrel opened his eyes and smiled. "Years of practice and dedication, young man. Music, like many things in life, requires hard work and persistence." Cassius frowned. "But surely, there must be an easier way to find happiness." Cassius nodded politely, but dismissed the minstrel's words. As he wandered back to the village, he encountered an old woman who was known for her wisdom. She was sitting by the well, drawing water. "Good day, Cassius," she greeted him. "What brings you to the well today?" "I was listening to a minstrel play," Cassius replied. "He told me that true happiness comes from hard work and dedication, but I believe that happiness will come to me if I wait long enough." The old woman chuckled softly. "Cassius, let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a farmer named Leo who owned a vast orchard filled with the most delicious fruits. Every day, Leo would rise with the sun, tend to his trees and care for his land. His fruits were the juiciest and the sweetest because of his hard work and diligence. One day, a traveler named Darius came to Leo's orchard. Darius was lazy and believed that fortune would always favor him. He saw the bountiful harvest and thought, "Why should I work when I can simply wait for fortune to bring me such abundance?" Darius approached Leo and said, "Old man, your fruits are the finest I've ever seen. Surely you must be the luckiest man alive to have such an orchard." Leo smiled and replied, "Luck had little to do with it. I have tended this orchard with care and dedication for many years. True happiness and success come from hard work and virtue, not from waiting for fortune to favor us." Darius scoffed and left, convinced that he could find an easier path to happiness. He wandered from village to village, waiting for fortune to smile upon him. But years passed, and Darius found nothing but disappointment and hardship. He grew old and weary, realizing too late that he had wasted his life waiting for something that would never come. Meanwhile, Leo's orchard continued to thrive, and he lived a life of contentment and happiness, knowing that his diligence and virtue had brought him true fortune. The old woman finished her story and looked at Cassius with kind eyes. "Do you see, Cassius? True happiness comes from within, through our actions and our dedication to virtue." Cassius nodded slowly, the words beginning to take root in his heart. He thanked the old woman and returned home, deep in thought. Days turned into weeks, and Cassius began to see the wisdom in the minstrels and the old woman's words. He decided to change his ways. Instead of waiting for happiness, he began to work diligently, helping his father in the fields and learning new skills from the villagers. At first, the work was hard, and Cassius often felt discouraged. But as time went on, he began to take pride in his efforts. He discovered the joy of a job well done and the satisfaction of learning and growing. One day, as Cassius was working in the fields, a traveler approached him. "Young man," the traveler said, "I am in need of assistance. I have lost my way, and I am weary from my journey." Cassius smiled and offered the traveler food and water. "You are welcome to rest here," he said. "I will help you find your way." The traveler stayed with Cassius for several days, and in that time they spoke of many things. Cassius shared his journey from a dreamer to a diligent worker, and the traveler listened with great interest. Before the traveler departed, he revealed himself to be a wealthy merchant. "Cassius," he said, "your kindness and hard work have impressed me. I would like to offer you a position in my household. You have shown that true happiness comes from virtue and diligence, and I believe you would be a great asset to my home." Cassius was overjoyed and accepted the merchant's offer. He traveled with the merchant to a distant city where he continued to work hard and live a life of virtue. Over the years he prospered, finding happiness not in fortune, but in his actions and his dedication to living a good life. Years later, as an old man, Cassius returned to his village and he shared his story with the villagers. "There are many recipes for being happy," he said. "Some wait for fortune, others act. I have learned that there is no better path to happiness than the path of virtue and diligence, for there is no greater happiness than prudence." The villagers listened, and Cassius's words were passed down from generation to generation. His story became a guiding light for those who sought true happiness, reminding them that the greatest fortune comes from within, through virtue, diligence, and wisdom. And so the village flourished, its people living lives of contentment and joy, guided by the wisdom of Cassius and the timeless truth that true happiness is found not in waiting for fortune, but in the noble pursuit of virtue and hard work.
If you liked the video, give it a like.